You're listening to
Super Dad. They're so crazy.
Stay tuned to 102 Pearl FM, the #1 fun station in the UAE.
Welcome, guys. Welcome to Super Dads on 102 Pearl FM, the #1 fun radio station in the UAE. A show produced, managed, presented by Super Dads for you. You guessed it, the unsung hero of family life, the Super Dad. Each week we'll be inviting a Super Dad to the show to discuss family life, careers, challenges and life in general as a modern day superhero. And if you stick with us over the coming weeks, I can more or less guarantee by the end of that you will also become a Super Dad yourself. I'm Gary and I'm lucky enough to be joined by my best mate, Mr. Sam Browning.
Hey Gary.
How are you?
Yeah, not bad. You had a good
Funny
week?
fact about Mr. Sam Browning. Once he was rejected from a well-known film called Twilight. He was going to play the part of a vampire, and they said he was too pale.
Oh, I thought it was because my skin was too sparkly, not because I was pale.
No, it's because Ed Patterson geezer would have been jealous if he could look.
Ed Patterson.
Is that Ed Patterson or whatever his name was?
Mrs. Patterson.
Mrs. Patterson. Or the geezer that took his shirt off all the time was the werewolf.
Taylor Lautner, I think his name was.
I'm scared you knew that.
I've got a good range of film knowledge, Gary. You call yourself
of young muscular men.
Or that, yeah, okay. Why not?
How's your week been, mate?
It's been all right. It's been weather's terrible, isn't it?
Oh, it's just shocking.
But it depends on.
Dubai is literally coming to that place now where you say to your wife or your friends, "Let's go away in February. Weather's bad."
Yeah, turn of the season.
Yeah,
everyone gets ill. I mean, it rains. I mean, it's horrible.
How's your keto going?
Really good. Yeah, really good. It's throwing in a couple of cheat meals or cheat days every now and again. Never helps, but keeps me on my toes.
Well, you're looking amazing, mate, and I'm inspired by you.
I appreciate it.
This is my first week at it.
Yeah,
it's early days.
But listen, before we introduce today's guest, we're going to have a quick break. So stay with us on Super Dads on 102 Pearl FM, the #1 fun station in the UAE.
You're listening to
Super Dad. They're so crazy.
Stay tuned to 102 Pearl FM, the #1 fun station in the UAE.
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to Super Dads on 102 Pearl FM. I'm very excited to introduce today's guest, the one and only Mr. Toby Simpson. Toby has been one of the pillars of the recruitment industry here in the UAE for the past 10 years, working across the construction, oil and gas, finance and private equity sectors, and by the look of him, he's seen it all. That's him laughing there. He's a potential super dad, and at the end of the show, we will definitely establish whether or not he does have the credentials to be upgraded to a true super dad. Toby?
Yeah, that's going to be a challenge, I'm afraid. I'm not sure my daddy ratings are going to be right up there with the best ones. I give it a good crack. I enjoy it. That's what counts.
Well, welcome to the show. We appreciate you being with us.
Thank you very much.
So before we get into the real nitty-gritty, hard-hitting, Michael Parkinson-type journalism questions, like really important stuff like...
Good old Parky.
What's your favourite song in the shower? Like really hard-hitting stuff like that. We want to get the headlines of who Toby is. So tell us about yourself.
Well, I am, where to start? Not at the very beginning. It would be very boring. The show's not that long. But
it was a dark and stormy night.
It was a dark and stormy night.
There was a Ford Cortina involved.
It was actually up a mountain in Wales. That's where
wow,
we're
okay,
going, apparently.
Lovely.
No, but
So you're Welsh?
No, I'm not Welsh.
Oh, okay.
No. Well, I don't know.
How dare you?
No. Holiday in Wales.
Okay,
that's where
cool.
So anyway, lived in many places in the world. Grew up in the GCC. So when I was invited back in 2007 to come and run a Middle East recruitment office, a group of recruitment companies, I absolutely jumped at the chance to come to Dubai. A couple of years later, founded the Gulf Recruitment Group. Very exciting journey. I think pretty much it was 9 years. 9 years before, 9 very enjoyable years with some fabulous colleagues before I sold out, and have just been mincing around enjoying myself up to a couple of ridiculous schemes before I've struck on the latest one, a new tech venture, which is exciting because I know nothing about tech, but very glad that my colleagues do.
Perfect. So where was home before you came to Dubai?
Well, I was in London. I was in London for a good long
London,
time.
baby.
Yeah, London, baby. Yeah. So what a great place to live in your 20s.
Oh,
Absolutely
mate. Yeah,
fantastic.
definitely.
You did as well.
Yeah, I'll Southeast represent.
Southeast.
Yeah.
Well, at least it's south of the
Southeast
river. It's not southwest, where's I from, but those north of the river people. I'm not. They've got just got a funny kind of Islington vibe about them. It's
Yes.
all a bit hipster.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, there's one thing that cannot be said about Gary, and that's he's not a hipster.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
No
definitely
Lego
not,
earrings
definitely.
or
no.
beard oil.
Lego
and that sort
earrings,
of stuff.
that'd work. I could see you in the Lego earring.
I stuck some Lego up my nose once, but
That's a whole different story.
yeah.
We'll get onto that one.
That was last week, actually. So.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Busy weekend, huh?
Yeah, it was exciting.
So, Toby, obviously, you are a dad. Tell us about the family.
Well, yes, I have a fabulous baby daughter, 10 months old, Frida.
Oh, lovely.
Left it a bit late, but she is, she's outstanding. She's inherited her mother's looks, fortunately.
Thank goodness.
So, adorable. Has learnt to wave like the Queen. She's from her pushchair.
Very regal.
So we have a lot of interaction with the general public, which is good. She's
The hoi polloi, as you put it.
Yeah, no, she loves an audience, loves a crowd, and it's been great for me because having sold back in 2017, I actually have managed to. I've been doing a lot of work from home, so I've had that unusual, enviable position of managing to spend a lot of my kids, sort of early first year, actually with them, and sort of being a part of that, which not a lot of dads have that luxury. So it's
True.
something I feel blessed with.
No, that's brilliant. It's good to hear as well. It's good to get that work-life balance.
Yeah, not a lot of work, but certainly the balance there. The work's going to come.
Lot of
now.
life, not too much
The work is just kicking in now, but I managed to mince around for a year, doing not very much, bit of travelling, that sort of thing. Having a kid, getting married. That's all very exciting.
Congratulations.
Left it late.
Someone
40.
finally said yes.
Someone finally, yeah.
It's a numbers game, right?
It is a numbers game. I've been
numbers
pitching
game.
a lot of people. I eventually got that pitch absolutely perfect. And there's a ring on her finger now, so there's nothing she can do about it.
She's not going anywhere.
She's not going
Locked
anywhere.
in.
Anchored. Yeah.
That's great. Well, look, we're going to pop off for a quick break now. And then when we get back, we'll start going deep diving into our really meaningful questions. So get ready. On Super Dads, on 102 Pearl FM, still the #1 fun station in the UAE.
You're listening to
Super Dads. They're so crazy.
Stay tuned to 102 Pearl FM, the #1 fun station in the UAE.
Welcome back, guys. You're listening to Super Dads on 102 Pearl FM. I'm Sam. He's Gary.
What's up?
And of course, we're joined by the incredible Toby Simpson, who's going to be
Oh, you're
giving us
just
some
too kind.
insight and insider information on the world of recruitment out here. Obviously, you've been
I
doing
will
it for a
try.
long time. What's the recruitment market like here in the UAE, and has it changed since you've been here?
Do you know, I don't think it's just the UAE. It's a global change, and it's since I've been here 10 years. I've been here a long time. But if I take you back in the mists of time to even before that, when I was in my recruitment shorts back in 2001, the way it worked is we were kind of the agents that you remember from the film Jerry Maguire. We were there representing the candidate. We were on the side of the candidates. Effectively, that's where our money came from. So we'd sit around a fax machine and we'd wait, and the thing would start beeping and buzzing, and we'd literally scrap each other to grab that CV off the fax machine. That would then be our person, and we'd flog around the city trying to find that person a job. We'd get to know them intimately. We get to know everything about them, their strengths, their weaknesses, what their aspirations are. We lived and breathed the potential career of that individual. Things have changed a lot now, and they've changed significantly because of the mass market. Now, every recruiter, every HR individual has the possibility just to go out and reach out, and you have access to thousands of people at the blink of a button. So, unfortunately, what's happened now is because it's such a mass market, employers simply can't handle the volume. So we have to put technology in between us and the eventual user. The humanity that was part of the recruitment process that I grew up with is getting further and further away. It's a much more of a commoditized market. It's much more about the kind of skills on your CV and how many points that generates and how does that push you up the rankings and that sort of thing, which is a bit of a shame. And also cost pressures with companies, they push down the value of recruitment businesses, so it doesn't attract the amazing talent that has the intelligence and integrity to do something with people. So I think things have changed enormously, not irreparably. There are still some fantastic recruiters out there doing a great job, but the way the market works means there's, between the job seeker and the end employer, there is a world of technology, there's a world of firewalls, there's a world of individuals, of CRM systems, which makes the life of the job seeker now incredibly lonely, incredibly frustrating. They're not getting any feedback, they're not getting any support, they're not getting any guidance as they would have done in the older days, simply because the mass market is driven people into silos, and it's kind of damaging. The mass market has its advantages, but it has a human cost as well.
I'd agree, and speaking from my own experience over the last few years, I was actually unlucky to find myself in that situation out here in Dubai. Now, back in London, I suppose you have a reputation, you're known, if you've been in the same industry for quite a few years, this is just a case of making a few phone calls. And if you don't quite fit the picture, the recruiter's got the power and the imagination to be able to sell you, because you are a commodity, because at the end of the day, I'm a brand. The recruiter will make money off making sure my brand is seen and heard and does the best job. And I think what the challenge for recruiters here in the UAE, I would say, is the employer is very much going through, especially the sort of HR gatekeeper, a box ticking exercise, which can be a massive, massive challenge. It can be really challenging for the recruiter. It's definitely a challenge for the recruitee. Would you see that being a challenge maybe here more than other places?
I do a lot, because the role unfortunately gets kicked down a lot, quite often, to HR administrators. Now, it's definitely not, and those people are often don't have the commercial know-how to recognise the applicability of different skills in different situations. Now, it's not always the case. We're sitting with us right now with an individual who will definitely counter that, because I'm sure MediClinic do it in a very different way, Sam. So, you have this kind of balance of trying to find the right human being, the right individual with the right skill, with the right individual with the right potential and the right culture to fit in with your team. But you also need to have some sort of background knowledge to make sure that it's not going to have too much of a run-in before they're up to speed and being productive. So how do you at MediClinic kind of balance that kind of need to find a level of skills with the right person?
Well, it's a difficult one, because when I look at my team, everybody we have in the team has to come with some recruitment background, because I'm a firm believer that if you're a good recruiter, you can recruit anything, and you learn what to look for, but it's the way you look for it is the thing that takes time to learn. There's certain building blocks and process that people need to follow. So when it comes to doctors, for MediClinic, for example, it's quite black and white. You're either licensable and you can do the job, or you can't. So that's quite a simple one. And then it becomes down to face-to-face interviews, whether or not they're the right type of person.
Culture.
Whether or not they're going to fit, they come from the right sort of hospital background. But on the administration side, it does take time, because hiring managers are different. And, now sitting on the client side, I now see the frustrations from when I was on the agency side, because you're chasing for feedback. But then you understand that there may be 5 stakeholders that have different agendas, pushing in different directions. And so it's then learning as the recruiter how you manage those. Communication and relationship building is very, very important in agency side. It's even more so on the client side for me.
That's an interesting point as well, because it sort of leads into our next question about how you stand out in your role, what you're trying to do. As you say, I need a heart surgeon, I need a brain surgeon, I need whatever it is you're looking for. It's a very specific model, and they can either do the job and they're licensed to do it or they're not. But if you are not as clever as being a brain surgeon, Toby, how do you stand out? How do you stand out amongst the 350 applicants to any LinkedIn sales job out there in a more grey market like the construction industry, like pharmaceutical sales and?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people are obsessed with the CV, and sadly, that doesn't make too much of a difference, if I'm totally honest. If you're a salesman, let's be honest, the ability to sell is kind of important. So what I would do is you have to use the first thing you need to do, and the step that people miss out, and this is the biggest step out there, is the planning. Is actually understanding what you should be going for and how. A lot of people say, I'm out of a job, and the first thing they do is they jump on the job sites and they start applying to everything they can get their hands on, and they're spamming their CV everywhere because they're not getting any responses, so why not? Let's just send out another 100 applications. Absolutely not productive at all. You need to understand the way that you're seen in the job market in terms of a commodity. You need to boil down what your actual skills are A lot of people say, hey, I can do anything. I'm a fantastic delegator. I'm great at problem solving. All these things are kind of nice to have and come out and interview, but they're actually not a valuable commodity in themselves. So you need to understand, okay, so what are my core assets as an individual? Is it my knowledge of my contacts? Is it the way I go through a pitch process? Is it what are the actual saleable things that at the end of the day are going to get me to the top of a pile of CVs as the most valuable potential candidate? And once you do that and you understand yourself as a commodity, you then got to marry in your aspirations. You might say, I don't want to be let's say, I don't want to do pitches for construction jobs for the rest of my life. What I want to do is something else. So you take those core assets and you understand, you map them towards your aspirational skills, and then you your aspirational sector, your aspirational role, whatever it might be, and then you focus in on that. So you can't say I'm going to be a racing driver from being a technical salesperson overnight, but you can get into Formula One using some of those particular skills, pitching into the Formula One industry, track building or whatever it might be. There is a logical step to get to. And the thing to do then is, look, you have to use what's available to you. There is jobs that are posted on all the major job sites, and why not absolutely use that? Focus and apply to those things and apply to them sensibly. But what I'd say to people is, the world out there, when you start your job search, you kind of begin to think that there are literally thousands of positions that I could potentially be suited for in the United Arab Emirates or the rest of the GCC. Actually, it's not as big as you think. No. So I would be confident in stating that for most people, if you pick a universe of 30 potential hiring managers that are the most likely people to hire you, there's an 80% chance that you will be hired by that small universe of people. So it makes perfect sense to me to actually go and identify who those people are and begin to create a relationship. Now, most people make the mistakes of they can identify that person because they're in the right company with the right sort of project needs, with the right sort of commercial environment that this person wants to get into, and they make the mistake of, here's my CV. It's like that's the end of the flirtation. It's not the beginning. We've all got wives, which means we've been through that process. It is
pull the trigger a little bit too soon.
Pull the trigger a bit soon. Yeah, you've got to do some flirting first. You've got to do indirect flattery. You've got to show an interest in them. You've got to create a relationship. You've got to offer some value to them as well. And once you create that relationship, have a meeting, have a coffee, and there's a way of blagging that coffee meeting that every recruiter knows. So if you can get into front of people, if you can get to a situation where you have, with those 20 people, you have a warm relationship. So the next time they hire, they're not even going to go and speak to their HR manager about putting a mandate out there. So they're going to call you up.
I get you.
And that's the way to do it.
So you're applying for the job that it doesn't even really exist at the moment.
It doesn't exist. That's the key, to get there before the mandate even exists, because they know you. No hiring manager really wants to go through a lengthy process where they're going to interview 20 people and go through the HR laws. And if they know the right person and there's a level of trust there already, they're going to come straight to you. It's not always possible to get directly to the CEO, or if you're in a senior level position, it's not easy to get to the chairman immediately, because that's often the person you need to do. So you need to, we kind of used to use this target board. So you have like imagine a bow and arrow target board, and you have your bullseye, and your bullseye contains the 20 key, hiring people that are going to make the decision to hire you. But the ring outside that is full of influencers. Now, for example, we and Sam know so well, we had an operations manager, Vicky. Now, Vicky knew how to, it's got to manipulate me to the nines. So if you, as a CEO, so if you wanted to get a job with me as a CEO, you're probably better off going to Vicky, because if you become Vicky's best friend, she's going to make it happen way more than coming directly to me. So if you understand both the key hiring managers, the people that are going to take the decision to offer you a job, but understand the influences around them, it could be their lawyer, it could be their head of supply chain, it could be any of those sort of people. You begin to build relationships with them too, and you begin to integrate and understand the problems of those companies. You will get there before anyone else gets a chance of getting the job. Okay, well, look, we're going to go for a quick break, but to recap, if we're going to bullet point what we've just said, we're talking about emphasize on your skill sets, try and marry them up to the dream role you want to go for, and then start reaching out to people for jobs that don't even exist yet. Absolutely. To lay the foundations for the future. I love it. Brilliant. Look, we're going to pop off to a quick break. I'm learning loads. I don't know about you, Sam.
I love listening to Toby talk. I can listen to him talk for hours. Okay, so I've done it for years, and I'm very happy he's back here now. Well, hopefully the people listening are loving it too. So stay with us. Super Dads on 102 Pearl FM, the #1 fun radio station in the UAE.
You're listening to
Super Dads. They're so crazy.
Stay tuned to 102 Pearl FM, the #1 fun station in the UAE.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to Super Dads on 102 Pearl FM, the #1 fun radio station in the UAE. Let's get straight back into it because I'm excited. Question, big one. Agencies. What's the point? No.
Topical.
No.
Ouch.
I don't LinkedIn bash at all. Poor me, I've got so many CVs to read. Agencies, do they work, or should you be proactive? I think you touched on this a little bit earlier.
You have to use every tool available to you in your job search. You treat your job search as a full-time thing, So sit down at a desk, give yourself a bunch of tasks to do. And dealing with agencies do control a big percentage of the market here. And the further you go up the food chain, the more important they actually become. Companies are bizarrely way more willing to spend, sort of hundreds of thousands of dirhams and Saudi riyals on a senior level mandate. The reason why, particularly in corporate culture, is if you outsource to an agency, then you are less liable because you've got a professional individual going through a selection process. Companies need to show there's no nepotistic hiring, that there's no favoritism. If a hire is made very badly, they can't just blame the bloke who picked him off the street. So it's actually, agencies do control some of the best jobs in the Middle East for a very good reason. That they are professional, they go through a proper search process, and it's a proper, sort of transparent selection process that you go through. So yeah, you need to know these boys. But look, let's be honest. Agencies aren't interested in you unless they have a mandate. That's the way it works right now. So if you are some sort of there are really hot skills out there right now. So there's I don't understand anything about it, although it is my business now. But there are AI programmers, and those sort of boys are absolutely they're like the crown jewel asset. If you get one of those boys, you're going to make a placement type thing. So they will begin to have a relationship with those. I think probably in Sam's field there are certain medical professionals that are absolute gold dust. So if an agency gets hold of one of those early,
100%.
They'll definitely make. But in the vast majority of cases, agencies are not interested in you unless they have a mandate. Now you can I would always take the call and have a quick chat with them and that sort of thing, and most agents would. But ultimately, make yourself available. You simply have to have a LinkedIn profile, really, and most of them will be able to find you, or your CV on various different networks. But work with them. The other thing about agencies is you'll be surprised how little. Well, I'm always surprised how little there is an understanding of the way the mechanics of a job process work. Now, the best agents, the thing they'll do, they'll improve your chances by simply educating you about the process you're about to go through. So you avoid any of the road bumps, you avoid any of the hiccups, you show the best side of yourself, that you understand what the employer is trying to hire, you understand their commercial drivers. That thing isn't always communicated when you have a direct sort of hiring manager to candidate situation. That communication is not as clear. The hiring manager thinks he's got to hold back. The candidate doesn't quite want to talk about this particular part of his background for whatever reason. So they can be incredibly helpful. So don't turn away agents. They are a really important part of the business.
But on that, I mean, you mentioned it briefly, but how do you identify a good one? Like if I'm a job seeker, what should I be looking for in an agent? Or an agency? That's a minefield. I know it's a difficult one, but in your experience, what makes a good one for us to look out for?
I've hired lots. Intelligence is the key thing. A level of commercial understanding, and a level of intensity of work ethic. So they actually really want to do a good job. They really have that kind of quality bug about them that they don't want to fail. And that's really important about them. So if you're going to pick out a bad one, the first thing they do is they pick up the phone, say, I've got a job on and you look all right for it. I want to talk to you about it. And you go, great, tell me about the job. And if all they can tell you is it's a trade marketing manager for an FMCG company, but what are they trying to achieve? What's the product all about? And if they can't answer those questions, they don't have a strong enough relationship with the client to actually market you effectively. But your good agent understands everything about the client. They understand everything about the job. And more importantly, they have the mental capacity and the experience to understand your value and to understand everything about you and what you've done. And that becomes pretty evident in the first couple of conversations I'd say you'd have with an agent. And unfortunately, there's a lot of, historically it's getting better and sometimes it gets worse. Historically, companies will want to pay agencies 10% of 10% of a salary, and if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys, unfortunately. So there is a lot of crap agents out there.
It's this guy in the UK called Peter Jones, and he owns a company called Fwyn Jones, recruitment agency, and they're not filling positions that you would consider chief exec, CEO roles, six-figure salaries. He works very much within the KB&B industry, so kitchens, bathrooms, and such. But every single job that he gets on his books, he's straight on LinkedIn and he does like a podcast, and he's so passionate and talks about the role with such intensity, as well as the company that the client or the recruit team may end up working for, their culture, their ethic. And I just think he spends so much time, and he's a massive success. Massive success. I know every region's different, every market's different, but there is a certain personality, personal touch that I do feel is missing here. For me, a good recruiter is someone who actually answers your phone or calls you back.
But then on the flip side of that, I mean, Toby, you're working on, you were telling us just before off air, but some incredible stuff at the moment to try and, we talk about agencies, but to take the power back as the candidate. I mean, tell us what you're working on at the moment. Yeah, well, I was doing some wacky projects, raising money for education, and just flitting around here, doing a couple of mandates. I'd sold my company. I went woohoo, and and cruised off around. Sort of found myself a nice young wife, and disappeared off on various holidays around Africa and Europe and that sort of stuff, and came back, and I still have a lot of contacts, and I still speak to them. It was a conversation I was having with a gentleman one evening who was somebody I've worked with before on a previous shortlist, and he called me up and he's saying, Toby, I'm in serious straits here. I really, I can't afford to pay the school fees, and they're coming up soon. I really need to find a job. My wife is on the verge of leaving me. That this is me being unemployed is creating an enormous amount of stress, and it's not just financial stress. What we have to realize is so much of our personal identities and our egos are tied up in what we do. So when you're getting rejected from the field that you've spent the last 20 years of your life in, it's soul destroying. It destroys. It crushes your ego. And I was having this call, and to be honest, I was going through what I always do. I'm on autopilot. I've taken this call 100 times before. Yeah, good to hear from you. I'm just going through the same thing without even thinking what I'm talking about. And I put the phone down, having, basically placated the guy pointlessly. And it just the conversation stuck with me after that for a bit. And it stuck with me to the point where there was a resonating bit of emotion in there that I had to actually do something to help, and I didn't like the way this really talented guy was getting treated by the job market. And I lay awake in bed, and I decided that I know exactly how to help this guy, but it's not a viable economic model for me to spend my time helping individuals to do this. So what I need to do is I need to download my knowledge, my understanding, the processes, everything I know. I need to take this guy from A all the way to the end of his process. I know I could do that for him, but if I just download that process and automate it, then I can help thousands of people. In fact, our target audience is 1.1 million people that I want to help using that knowledge. So I built up a bunch of guys around me who actually understand technology. Some really clever people who understand what machine learning and artificial intelligence is all about, and guys who really understand the world of HR tech and HR software. So I've been the chairman of the MENA HR conference for the last 2 years, and I have to go around and I have to shake everybody's hand, all the exhibitors who've paid money and show an interest in their product and that sort of thing. And which you really do. You do care about some of it is amazing, some of it is downright spooky, what some of these people are telling HR companies to do. But the thing that strikes me is all of that technology is aimed at the B2B market, the business-to-business market. It's all aimed at the employers, and there's nothing in the hands of the candidates, and the candidates are getting further and further and further isolated from the hiring manager. So what we're doing is we're taking all of that technology that's developed and it's out there, and we're bringing it back to the power of the candidates to basically smarten their search. So we're taking the long-standing processes that wouldn't have changed since 2001 when I was in recruitment shorts, but adding the new technology into that, and just boosting people's chances and giving them a fair crack at the whip. Wow. Incredible. So, I mean, what's the company called? I mean, whereabouts are you with things? It's called Striver. It's now legally registered in Dubai. Oh, thank goodness! At time of airing, we've got a really fantastic board of directors. We've got a very strong executive team. And yourself, obviously. Yeah, well, the loose cannon. Not on the technical side. Gandalf. You're the Gandalf. You're the wide. I'm going to call myself. You're the wide boy. They said to close the deals.
I like the Gandalf. You know those companies that decide they're going to do away with the job titles like associate and whatever. I might do that. It's a tech company. You're supposed to be a bit crazy.
Yeah, Gandalf.
Just call yourself. I'm going to be Gandalf. That's my position.
Toby Simpson, Gandalf. Amazing. Right. Well. I mean, Toby sounds fascinating. I mean, taking the power, giving it to the candidate with all this new technology. I mean, I can't wait to see where it goes and what comes from it. But we're going to take a quick break, but stay with us because afterwards, it's our favourite part of the show. You're listening to Super Dads on 102 Pearl FM.
You're listening to
Super Dads. They're so crazy.
Stay tuned to 102 Pearl FM, the #1 fun station in the UAE.
Welcome back, guys. You're listening to Super Dads on 102 Pearl FM. We've been joined by Toby today, who has just been telling us the most incredible things about what the future of recruitment looks like.
Minority Report stuff.
It is, isn't it?
I just want him to go into an
Sci-fi.
office now, just with his gloves, just be moving
He's going
stuff
to have a
around.
wall of computer screens and TVs.
He's like a
You
Tony
see
Stark
everything.
of the recruitment world.
You do strike me as a Tony Stark type fella.
Great. Oh, I'd love it if the tech company is successful. I'm just going to spend it all on ridiculous
Iron
tech for the
Gandalf.
office. Yeah.
Iron Gandalf.
Start moving things around with my hand and throwing them across imaginary
I like
screens.
it.
It's going to be amazing.
This is what I'm going to build.
Proper Gandalf.
Moving candidates around virtually. But look, before we finish up today, what would be your top 3 tips for any super dad out there that's looking for a new job? Either they've lost theirs or they're looking for a change.
Number 1 is do your planning. Don't just sort of jump out there and start smashing the market. Understand your value as a commodity on the market. Understand where you're trying to get to and what's possible, and then just target those things and target them proactively. So that's number 1: is do your planning. The second thing is by all means use the job, use the established formal job market, the job adverts, agencies, that sort of side of things. But most importantly, do something proactive. Get out there, identify the 20 people that you need to speak to, and go and speak to them. And number 3, I would say, that's a tricky one. Number 3 is, buy a tie. I'm sick to death of all this kind of fruity new age turning up in sort of
khakis and
some
white
sort
shirt.
of exactly. No, get a suit, get a tie. You're a professional.
Act as if.
Yeah,
Dress for the job.
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant stuff. Well, I've learnt loads. I hope the guys out listening to us today have learnt
Absolutely
a lot.
fascinating.
It's been really good. But now we're going to bring the tone down for a bit more fun. It's been quite serious.
Good
There's
stuff.
been a lot of frowning. Getting a bit of a headache because I'm concentrating for too long listening.
You've been taking notes.
Yeah, I'll be
Watching.
actually listening
Incredible.
to important things, and
Yeah,
I don't
very
really
often.
do that if I'm honest.
To be fair, it looks like there's steam coming out your ears. I
It
can
is
see the
my-
cogs turning.
Literally, I need some paracetamol or something, or any other headache-leading brand that can stop the headache.
Who can sponsor that?
But we're going to finish up. We're going to finish up the show now with my personal and Sam's personal favourite part of the show.
Super Dad's question time. Wow. Okay, so Toby, quick fire round. We want straight off the top of your head.
Ooh,
okay.
challenging. I'm in.
So-
I'm on the zone.
Favourite film?
Scent of a Woman.
Really?
Interesting.
Woo-ha!
Yeah. That's straight off the top of my head. I thought about that again. No, that was I
a good film.
It is a good film, but I rewatched it recently and I was a bit disappointed. It was one of those coming of age films that I probably absolutely love when I was 21. I watched it again
Chris
now, and
O'Donnell, wasn't it? Who was
something
that?
like that. And Al Pacino is just epic and everything. Oh, what's the other one that I love? The best speech. It's Al Pacino again.
Any
Any
Given
Given
Sunday.
Devil's Advocate.
Oh,
Okay, yeah. That's good as
a
well.
good
Right,
movie
okay.
too.
Devil's
Yeah,
Advocate, yeah. Okay.
He does love a speech,
He
doesn't he?
does. He does love a speech. Yeah.
Favourite sports team? Any sport? Any team?
Harlequins Rugby
Okay.
Football Club.
Very nice. Favourite restaurant in Dubai?
Oh, it was Gary Rhodes' Mezzanine, but then he kind of downplayed it a bit, so it's a bit
You can
bistro-y
tell he
now.
just sold a business, can't you? I can't even spell Gary Rhodes.
Yeah, I don't know. So what would it be now? Do you know what I really like down in Bastakir? There's a restaurant that's been around for absolutely ages, down by the creek.
Out on the water?
No, it's not out on the water. It's not that one. It's actually in those old, really beautiful old, surrounded by the wind towers and that sort of
Yeah.
thing. I can't remember the name of it, but it's just off that roundabout.
What sort of club is it?
It's Emirati and Lebanese
lovely,
grub.
lovely, nice.
So it's really good slow cooked lamb with rice, and it's got all the your kind of Lebanese kibbeh and that sort
I
of
can
stuff.
see
So,
Hussein.
yeah.
Hussein's drooling in there. I mean, he knows exactly where it is.
There you go. Yeah.
Song in the shower.
Walking in Memphis.
Oh, great song.
Yeah, that's my karaoke go-to. It's I would only sing in the shower, unlike this man here who's got a proper set of lungs on him. Sam, what's your karaoke number? Because you must have done that. It used
to be Walking in Memphis. I like that.
Was it?
It used to be. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me by Elton John.
One day we're going to do a duet. Oh, and I'll take that on as well. That'll be good.
That's a cracking song. That is.
Yes, absolutely.
I think I was just sick in my mouth just a little bit there.
Come on, you'd love it.
I can't ask this question, but I will. Favourite child? Because normally the guys that we have in have got more than one.
Yeah, fair enough.
Easy one for you, Toby.
It's disappointing to say that it should also have to be my least favourite child. So yeah, but at the moment I'm quite enamoured with her. It's that kind of the shine hasn't worn off. Being
you're in the honeymoon period of being.
I'm in the honeymoon period.
Give it
10
16
months
years.
in.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Best meal your wife cooks.
Oh, she does so many. Her repertoire is expanding every day. But
big brownie points there, Toes. Well done.
Yeah, I would say. Oh, she's going to hate me for this, for not having it straight off the top of the head. Darling, there's just so many. You're such a talented chef. I would say I like it when she goes native. She comes from Bosnia.
Else.
Let's get back to the food.
Bosnian food is absolutely amazing. It's one of those little known cuisines.
Really?
It's got European
Really?
influence. It's got Ottoman, Turkish influence.
Nice.
And it is amazing. So a slow cooked Bosnian lamb. That is an absolute.
Nice.
That's a winner.
All right, okay. Safe or magic fill?
Oh, do you know what? You can't have one without the other. It's like the sun and the moon.
Salt and pepper.
Salt and pepper. Yeah, kind of that sort of thing. Yeah, you need both going on there.
Okay, fair enough.
Favourite holiday destination?
Mozambique, most beautiful country in the world, as far as I'm concerned. It's got everything. Absolute cracker. Haven't been there for a long time. It might be rubbish now, but when I went 20 years ago, that
in your
was definitely
memory,
my favourite place.
perfect.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Tea or coffee?
Tea. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It's kind of coffee
Black
is
tea,
something
green
you
tea?
go for throughout a lot of the day. It's just coffee's more accessible, and you don't want to go to Starbucks and they give you one of those little tea bags in some
terrible
water
tea bags, yeah.
and charge you the same amount as a coffee. So I don't know, but when I go to a nice hotel and I'm going to sit down there and do an interview or whatever it might be, I always get a nice English breakfast tea brewed properly. Absolutely beautiful.
What a hero. He'd get on well with Lisa, wouldn't he?
Oh yeah, she's
cup of tea,
stupid
crazy.
on tea.
Okay, here we go. Here's a tough one. Favourite Super
this is
Dads
gonna be easy.
presenter?
This is gonna be
Gary or Sam?
Oh, I've already pulled off my sun and the moon thing type thing. So it's like
Yeah.
Pinky and Perky. I don't know.
Which one's Pinky? Which one's Perky? That's what I want to know.
Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, that's probably
Dumb and
close.
Dumber, yeah, something like that. It's a dynamic.
Starsky and
I think,
Hutch.
yeah, it's one of those things. Yeah. As individuals, you'd be rubbish. Together, absolutely perfect.
Well done, Toby.
Nice.
You found that one incredibly well.
He's pulled that one out of the bag.
He's pulled that. Yeah, well done. Well, listen, let's mark him out of 5 because that's
5 each?
Yeah, you go 5, I go 5 because
Okay.
that's going to decide. He needs 10 combined
Yeah.
to be really classified as a super dad.
Jeez, the pressure's on.
It's
It
tough. Only every person that comes
Yeah,
on
I've
this
been this
show
nervous in a
actually
while.
gets 10. So
Yeah, I know it's tough. How do you define? Well, look, for me, I think what you're doing, especially with a new company, in terms of taking that technology and giving it to the job seeker to help millions of people potentially find the job.
The Robin Hood of the job industry.
That's going on a business card, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
That really is.
That's
going
my
on
new
a
job
business-
title.
That's your job
Robin
title,
Hood.
right?
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
Gandalf's
Robin
good, but I
Hood.
like Robin Hood.
That could be your new LinkedIn tagline.
Yeah.
It's 5 out of 5 for me.
5 out of 5.
Toby's 5 out of 5.
I like the way that you feel passionate about representing the recruitee as much, if not more, than the potential employer, i.e. your client. So for me, that's 5 out of 5 just for that.
Superb. Well,
Gentlemen, deeply honoured.
that's
Thank
it.
you ever so
He's
much.
a super dad. Incredible, Toby. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you, guys.
I mean, before we go, how can people find you? Do you have a website?
What's
Can they
your
follow
social
you?
media stuff?
Yeah, we're putting it up. I'm still Toby Simpson at Toby Simpson GRG on Twitter.
Okay.
Need to change that maybe. Email address is
mouthful.
go on, I'll say it. Toby.simpson@striver.app.
How do you spell Striver?
STRIVER.
Perfect.
.app.
And when's the potential launch? Where are we going?
It is a massive bit of kit, I'm afraid. I don't want to get people excited because I think October. My techie people are telling me I'm being too ambitious. My
They're trying to
bankers are
rein
telling
you
me I'm
back.
being
This is
too
what we'll
ambitious.
do. This is what we'll
So
do.
it's probably going to be
Season 2.
We'll have you back.
Yeah,
Coming
good.
back.
Tell us the
Yeah,
success
nice.
And you're going
story.
to tell us the
Success story.
Thank you. Put my teeth back in.
Incredible. Well, guys, thank you so much for listening to me and Gary on Super Dads. You can follow us at Super Dads DXB on Instagram and Facebook, and of course, you can follow the amazing Pearl FM at Pearl FM UAE. I've been Sam, he's been Gary, that guy over there has been Toby. Thanks for listening. This is 102 Pearl FM, the number one fun station in the UAE.
Stay employed, Dubai.
You're listening to
Super Dads. They're so crazy.
Stay tuned to 102 Pearl FM, the number one fun station in the UAE.